Got a moment? Or can you make one? Because I'm about to step out of our world and into another. A world darker, harsher, more terrifying, and somehow more honest. The world of The Walking Dead. Ready to come with me? Today, I want to speak to you about a few points. You, the viewer who's already deeply immersed in this world, and also you, the guest who's still watching this video, driven by curiosity or fascination or something you can't quite name yet. Let's start with the first point, a critical, central question. Why is The Walking Dead truly terrifying? In my view, it's not because of the zombies. It's not because of the constant tension, the fear, the blood, or the action. And here's the surprise, I'm also not here to tell you the cliche line we've all heard 1,000 times, that the real threat isn't the zombies, it's the humans. Number that's been said and resaid in every conversation about this series. So, what am I here to talk about? I want to take you deeper to the real foundational horror at the heart of this entire story. The collapse of civilization itself. As human beings, we live our daily lives inside a system that doesn't just govern us with laws, but defines our roles, tells us what to do, and promises us what we can expect in return. What do I mean? Simple. Right now, you have a job, whatever it is, and you get paid. But that money isn't just paper. It's a promise, a guarantee that you can get food, water, a place to live, healthcare, entertainment, everything you need to survive. Because of that, you don't wake up each day thinking about how you'll hunt for food, how you'll defend yourself with weapons, how you'll map out a safe place to sleep. The system does that for you. The system frees you to focus on your role within society, instead of forcing you to face the raw, brutal struggle of survival on your own. But here's the nightmare question. What happens when that system disappears? What happens if you wake up tomorrow and the bank is gone? The stores are empty. The police have vanished. The hospitals no longer work. The electricity is dead. The water no longer runs. Would you still be the same person you are right now? Or would you start to shift, little by little? Would you start to wonder, to survive? Do I have to fight? Do I have to steal? Do I have to lie? Maybe even kill? Humans, suddenly scattered and reduced to desperate survival, are no longer part of elegant, civilized communities with shared values and social contracts. Worse still, they are not even well adapted to this brutal new world. Unlike prehistoric humans, who were born and evolved in savage, wild environments, modern people have been ripped out of a world of comfort and convenience and thrown violently into a merciless jungle, without preparation, without warning. It's a sudden, brutal shock, like a clot in the brain that leads to paralysis, or a heart attack that kills without mercy. We are used to living inside civilization, inside order, inside a world where, even if we're struggling, we still have a safety net, still have some sense of security. But here, in the world of The Walking Dead, there's no civilization, no system, no law, no safety. So what will you choose? To hold on to your humanity, risking the loss of everyone you love, or to abandon your humanity in order to protect them and, in the process, lose yourself? The show poses this question from its very first episode, and it never gives you a direct answer. Instead, it hands you a set of raw, unfiltered truths and asks you, the viewer, sitting safely outside the screen, still living in the warmth of modern civilization, to decide for yourself. From the moment Rick wakes up from his coma, we watch his struggle begin. At first, Rick tries desperately to cling to his old values. He tries to bring the principles of the old world into the new world. But again and again, the world tests him. One person after another enters his life, And every time they remind him, survival is not for those who cling to ideals. It's not for the people who follow the old rules. Survival is for the strongest, the hardest, the sharpest. And over time, we watch this transformation not just in Rick, but in everyone around him. We see Carol, once a timid, broken woman, become fierce, even savage, when the moment demands it. We see Daryl, once a loner and an outsider, find his place among the group, but also learn that sometimes you have to do terrible things to protect the ones you love. These are not easy transformations. They are painful, brutal, soul-splitting, and they force us as viewers to ask the hardest question of all. If we were there, what would we become? And as you move deeper into this world, struggling, adapting, barely keeping pace with its brutal demands, you encounter characters like Negan. When you hear the name Negan in The Walking Dead, the first image that flashes in your mind is that towering man with a mocking, crooked grin, gripping his infamous bat, Lucille, a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, a weapon he wields not just to fight, but to beat people to death. Literally, Negan isn't just another villain. He's not merely someone attacking Rick and the group. He's a nightmare walking the earth for the characters on screen and for you, the viewer, who by now feels like an invisible companion to Rick's battered group, sharing in their dread, their losses, their desperate fight for survival. Negan delights in breaking people, not just physically, but psychologically. He shatters your men right in front of you. He humiliates you with words, with cold smirks, with brutal clarity. He turns strong, defiant survivors into hollow shells of fear and submission. From his very first appearance, Negan establishes himself with chilling authority. He kills not just one beloved main character, but two, right before our eyes, with merciless precision. He's not just a normal enemy, not just a passing threat. He is the embodiment of a terrifying truth. Sometimes survival means stepping on everyone around you without a shred of mercy. But wait, is Negan really just a monster? Or is there something deeper beneath the blood and brutality? When we look closer at Negan, we discover he doesn't kill just for the sake of killing. He doesn't break people just to watch them fall. Negan has a philosophy, a system. And here's the kicker. In his first appearance, Negan only kills 2 people. Meanwhile, Rick, the hero we root for, had already killed more than 20 of Negan's men. The difference? Negan knows how to kill the right person, at the right time, in the right way, in front of the right audience. Negan believes that in a world after civilization collapses, only one kind of leader can keep people alive. A strong leader, a ruthless leader, a leader who draws clear, sharp boundaries, and who knows how to break people when necessary, because without that, there's only chaos. To Negan, cruelty isn't a whim. It's the only shield against total collapse. Without him, people won't find peace. They'll find destruction. Negan appoints himself as a brutal, godlike figure. Cruel, yes, but ultimately a protector, a force standing between his people and the abyss. Let's take a walk through his domain, the sanctuary. Look closely. Negan doesn't kill everyone he meets. He sets rules. You join my group, you pay tribute, you submit. In return, I'll protect you. You rebel, you put yourself at risk. For Negan, this world doesn't need democracy, dialogue, or endless negotiation. It needs a rigid, merciless system. He'll walk into your camp, murder one of your men in the most grotesque, unforgettable way possible, and plant that memory deep in the minds of the survivors. That's how he enforces order. And here's the harsh reality. It works. In his world, talent and usefulness are rewarded. If you bring him value, You earn higher status, better food, better lodging, special access, privileges. Negan isn't just a man. He's an idea. He's present in every follower's mind, even when he's not physically there. Imagine this. Any of his followers, when asked, "Who are you?" they answer without hesitation, "I am Negan." And when we look even closer, we start to understand, why do people follow him? Why do some obey him, not just out of fear, but out of belief? Because he delivers. He promises protection, and he protects. He draws a clear, unwavering picture. With me, you live. Against me, you die. There's no middle ground. This is one of the show's most brilliant paradoxes. How can someone so savage, so cruel, be more stable than the good characters? How, in a world without civilization, can a leader who enforces brutal, absolute rules become, in some twisted sense, a savior? And it's no accident that his base is called the Sanctuary, or that his group is named the Saviors. Negan forces us, the viewers, to ask the hardest questions. Is he truly pure evil, or is he simply a mirror, reflecting the brutal world that created him? If we were in his place, would we act any better? Or might we become just like him? Maybe even worse. And as you drown in this unsettling thought, you circle back to the central question. Does the collapse of civilization justify becoming a monster? Once the laws break down and the system disappears, is the right choice to embrace cruelty, abandon humanity, and let pure survival instincts take over? Is Negan's system the only one that truly works? Or is there still a chance, even a fragile, flickering one, for people to create a new kind of order? A moral, fair, safe, healthy system rising from the ashes of chaos? I'll keep my answer to myself, because my answer will be different from yours, and from your friends. And the show itself never gives a definitive answer, for one powerful reason. It wants you to decide. Now let me circle back to the question I raised at the beginning. Why are you so drawn to this show? Why do you love watching this world? A world of constant danger, fear, and tension. What's the deeper psychological pull behind it? Sure, many viewers enjoy the adrenaline rush that comes with watching danger, but without facing real danger themselves. When you see Rick and Daryl surrounded by a horde of walkers, your heart pounds. Even though you're sitting safely on your couch, tea in hand. Psychology tells us this sensation lights up the brain's reward center, like playing a tough video game or watching a horror movie. The Walking Dead delivers a steady, addictive dose of tension and excitement. But here's the thing, you are different. You carry something much deeper inside you than the average viewer. You're likely someone who's always cautious, always thinking ahead to the worst-case scenario, someone who needs to feel ready for any threat. When you plan anything in your life, you're the type who draws up a backup plan for every possibility. And when a crisis hits, when everyone around you panics or freezes, you find yourself steady, maybe even stronger, feeling like you were made for moments like this. You're the last man standing, the crisis handler. The show, without meaning to, speaks directly to this hidden superpower inside you. That's why you fell in love with the post-apocalyptic world. When you watch Daryl, always cautious, preferring solitude until trust is earned, calculating each move, or Carol, especially in the later seasons, thinking, how can I protect myself and the people I love? You feel like this world isn't so alien. You understand them more than the average viewer because, in your own way, you're already living like them in your world. There's also the strange beauty of it all. The empty streets, the abandoned buildings, the eerie silence. It's like standing in front of a strange, haunting work of art. The stillness when Rick and Daryl walk through a deserted road, the alertness in their eyes, the tension in every pause. You don't just watch those moments, you live them. You're there with them. This beauty doesn't come from the world being pretty. No, the world is hideous, but there's an honesty in that ugliness. In a world like this, there's no room for lies, no masks, no social games. Every emotion is raw. Fear is real. Love is real. Anger is real. When Carol fights to protect those she loves, when Rick screams out in grief after a loss, we feel those emotions because they're unfiltered, exposed, pure. In our everyday lives, we hide so much behind social media, work demands, polite smiles, and surface-level conversations. But in the world of The Walking Dead, everything is stripped bare. That's part of what pulls us in. So, let me ask you a blunt question. Do you love dystopias because, deep down, you are frustrated with this world? Think about it for a moment. Our daily lives are flooded with noise. Phone notifications, work stress, money pressure, societal expectations. Sometimes it feels like the modern world, for all its progress, has killed something inside us. Life has become mechanical, a loop of routine, empty small talk, and shallow concerns. Is there a part of you, even a tiny part, that dreams of a world without all these rules? A world where everything boils down to your instincts, your strength, your will to live in the moment? Dystopia in the show acts like a mirror for these buried feelings. We sense that, despite its brutality, that life carries a strange kind of freedom. There's no boss breathing down your neck, no bills piling up, just you, your choices, and the people you care about. But here's the key question. Is that part of you a rebel, secretly craving the collapse, just to see who you really are? Or do you just enjoy imagining yourself in that world, without ever wanting to actually be there? What makes The Walking Dead's world so captivating is its rawness. There's no time for acting. There's no space for pretending. When Negan faces off against Rick, their hatred is real. When Carol loses Sophia, her grief cuts through the screen like a blade. The emotions in this world are always turned up to maximum. The terror when the walkers close in, the relief when they make it safely to Alexandria, the love when Daryl sacrifices himself for the group. Every feeling is like an electric jolt, a reminder that you're alive. In real life, our emotions are often wrapped up, masked. We love, but we're afraid to say it. We fear, but we say, I'm fine. In The Walking Dead, there's no wrapping paper. If you're scared, you cry. If you love, you sacrifice. If you're angry, you destroy. And we, as viewers, crave this honesty because it reminds us that there's still a part of us longing to feel life directly, without filters. The ugliness isn't just zombies and gore. The ugliness is betrayal, cruelty, and loss. But in the middle of that ugliness, there's a strange beauty. When we see Maggie rise to lead Hilltop after losing Glenn, we witness how pain can forge strength. When we watch Rick fight to hold on to his humanity, we see how hope can rise from ashes. This beauty is complex. It's not as simple or obvious as a pretty landscape. It's the beauty of the human spirit, facing the worst and choosing to keep going. As we've said before, in a world like The Walking Dead, there are no laws, no governments, no police to stop the killing or shield you from danger. Every day becomes a battle for survival. Every passing minute pulls you closer to the edge. But here's the truly terrifying part. It's not just the presence of zombies. It's the shattering realization that this world strips away every illusion we cling to in our daily lives. Suddenly, you stand naked before life itself. No law to protect you, no system to guide you, no community to catch you when you fall. And yet, here's the strange, almost shocking beauty. Amidst this hellscape, raw human emotions are born. Emotions far deeper, far more primal than anything we usually feel while wrapped in the safety of civilization. Why? Because the emotions in that world don't come from luxury or comfort. They come from the edge. Love there is not rosy or cinematic. It's love clinging desperately to life. Fear there isn't the fear of failing at work or flunking an exam. It's the terror of being literally devoured, the dread of losing everything in a heartbeat. Hope isn't just a sweet idea. It's a lifeline. Even betrayal doesn't just hurt. It can mean condemning someone to death. In that world, the human brain is constantly switched into survival mode, and that fires up the emotional center in an amplified, almost overwhelming way. Every flicker of fear is real. Every breath of safety is pure. Think about the moment when Negan first appears, the scene that left audiences frozen in fear. Not just because we were terrified of losing beloved characters, but because we imagined ourselves in that moment. The helplessness, the domination, the senseless cruelty, and on the flip side, When we watch the group enter Alexandria for the first time, we feel a strange euphoria, a rush of relief, as if we ourselves have finally stepped inside a shelter after months of running and hiding. These are pure emotions, unfiltered and raw. That's what gives the show such a grip on our psyches as viewers. But perhaps the most beautiful, most astonishing part is this. The survivors do something brilliantly human amid all this chaos. They don't just survive day to day. They search for a reason to live. Rick isn't just running. He wants to build a home for his son. Carol isn't just fighting. She wants to teach the children how to defend themselves. Daryl isn't just a hunter. He's a brother, a friend, a protector. This isn't just a survival story. It's a story of redefining meaning. Why do we live? What are we living for? And when we see the different communities rise, Alexandria, Hilltop, the Kingdom, we witness humanity's desperate, creative attempts to bring back civilization. Alexandria, with its neat houses, clean streets, running water, and electricity, was like a dream inside the nightmare. But the problem was the Alexandrians were living in denial, believing the walls would protect them forever. When Rick's group arrived, they brought a harsh truth, that hope, without the strength to defend it, is just a shell. In Hilltop, we saw a simple agricultural community, people trying to live in peace but under Negan's brutal control. There, hope was born from small acts of resistance, from Maggie's dream of building a future for her child, even after losing Glenn. And the Kingdom, well, it almost seemed like a fantasy world. A king, a royal court, even a tiger. But even there, King Ezekiel was hiding his fear behind the performance he gave his people. Every one of these communities was humanity's way of saying to the world, we are still here. We are still trying. And here's the hard question. If we were there, would we do the same? Would we try to build a little society in the middle of the chaos? Or would we surrender, slip into nihilism, or maybe even join someone like Negan just to protect ourselves? These aren't just imaginary questions. They touch something deep inside us. Because in our daily lives, we too face small versions of chaos. Work stress, relationships falling apart, fear of the future, the crushing weight of global problems. And when we watch these characters fight to keep even the tiniest spark of hope, Shakid, alive, we feel like maybe we can fight too. When Rick dreams of a future for Carl, we believe maybe we can dare to dream too. When Carol smiles after losing everything, we remember that maybe we can keep going too. But the show never presents hope as an easy fix or a smooth road. Every glimmer of hope comes with a price. Alexandria was destroyed. Hilltop was burned and pillaged. The Kingdom lost its leader. Every time the survivors build something, a new enemy, a new threat, a new collapse arrives. But the genius of the show is this. It shows us that hope doesn't lie in reaching a happy ending. Hope lies in the trying itself, in pushing forward, even when everything around you screams, give up. That's what makes the show more than just a zombie survival tale. It's a story of surviving despair, resisting surrender, clinging to meaning. And if we look deeper, maybe we'll realize that part of why we love this show comes from an even more profound place. We love it because it reminds us that even if the world collapses, even if everything around us falls apart, we still carry within us the power to build again. Even if it's on the ruins of a shattered world, even surrounded by zombies, traitors, and death, we humans have a deep, stubborn instinct, not just to survive, but to preserve meaning. And that's why, in the end, The Walking Dead isn't just a show about chaos. It's a show about persistence, about the fierce determination to remain human, even when everything around you says, enough. Maybe that's the real reason we fall in love with this story, because it tells the tale that lives quietly inside all of us. The story of the human being searching for a flicker of light in the dark, and not just searching for it, but creating it with their own hands. Let's descend to a deeper level and ask the big question: is civilization an illusion? Is chaos the true state of things? In the Walking Dead universe, chaos isn't just the absence of order. It escalates and becomes the natural state. People fight for food, betray for safety, kill to survive. It forces you to genuinely wonder, is this savagery, or is it simply the truth we try to escape every day? When the characters in the show become harsher versions of themselves, is it because chaos brings out the worst in them? or because it reveals who they really are? Think about nature itself. Forest, oceans, the universe, all built on chaos. The strong devour the weak. Planets collide, stars die. Civilization is humanity's attempt to impose structure over this wildness. But The Walking Dead makes us confront a hard reality. That chaos never truly goes away. When the system collapses, we return to instinct. To survive, to protect those we love, to fight. But here's the real question. Does that mean chaos is our true nature and order is the lie? Or is it that both chaos and order live within us, equally real? Let's dive even deeper. If chaos is the foundation and order is just a thin layer we paint on top, then maybe we've been living in a carefully arranged illusion. We create rules, societies, constitutions to convince ourselves we're in control. But The Walking Dead rips that illusion apart. And not just through the collapse of governments or the disappearance of the police. It shows it in every human relationship. Look at the characters we love. Rick, Michonne, even Daryl. Time and time again, they're forced to cross lines they once believed were permanent. Rick, once a man of law, a symbol of humanity, ends up killing innocent people to protect his family. Carol, once a gentle, quiet mother, becomes one of the most dangerous survivors out there. These aren't passing moments of weakness. They are moments when the show reveals that beneath laws, morals, traditions, we are creatures driven by raw instinct. But here's the most provocative part. Is that chaos purely savage? Or does it carry its own kind of fairness? One we fail to understand when we live under the blanket of civilization. In nature, it's not always the strongest who survive. Sometimes it's the cleverest, the most adaptable. In The Walking Dead, we see that equation play out again and again. The characters who try to stay perfectly good often die fast. The ones who learn to adapt, who know when to be hard and when to yield, when to strike and when to retreat, they are the ones who survive. This reveals something profound. Even within chaos, there's a kind of order. A primal order, but a real one. Not the order written into laws, but the laws of survival. Maybe that's one of the show's greatest revelations, that chaos isn't simply randomness, it has its own logic. Maybe we call it chaos only because it doesn't follow the rules we made for ourselves, but in truth, it's deeply connected to our own nature. When we're under pressure, we return to the basics. Who will live? Who will die? Who's with me? Who's against me? And these are not new questions. They're as old as humanity itself. The show also asks a profound question about identity. If the world changes and forces us to act brutally in order to survive, does that mean we've changed? Or does it mean we've finally revealed who we are? When Rick kills, has he lost his humanity? Or has he always carried that capacity, hidden beneath the surface? When Carol chooses to sacrifice a child to protect the group, is that savagery? Or is it the act of a mother facing a merciless world with brutal honesty? These are the questions that make the series not just a survival tale, but a mirror reflecting back at us. Who are we, really? And if we expand our thinking, we'll realize the show is not just about the collapse of a small society. It touches on a broader human fear, the fear that everything we build can fall apart in an instant. That civilization is like a glass wall. It looks strong, but it can shatter easily. What happens then? Are we truly as civilized as we think? Or do we return to the jungle the moment the structures collapse? And here's where The Walking Dead avoids sinking into pure pessimism. Despite the darkness, it offers glimpses of hope. Amid the chaos, we witness sacrifice, love, friendship. Rick doesn't survive alone. Carol doesn't isolate herself forever. Daryl finds a real family in his group. It's as if the show is telling us, yes, chaos lives inside you, but so does the ability to connect, to love, to hold on to others. Life is not an either-or. We are not just beasts, nor are we only angels. We are both, all at once. And in the end, when we ask ourselves why we love The Walking Dead, we find that the reason isn't just the action, or the suspense, or the thrilling storylines. The deeper reason is that the series touches something buried within us, our desire to understand who we truly are, our need to face our greatest fear, that if we lose everything, can we still go on? Will we break, or will we endure? The show answers, we may break, we may fall apart, but if we can find the people to stand with, if we can keep even a tiny spark of our humanity alive, we still have a chance. In the end, it's not that chaos is the original state, or that order is the lie. The truth is that both exist within us, always, and the tension between them is what creates the real story. That's the story The Walking Dead has been telling, from the first scene to the last. We are not just survivors in a broken world. We are, in our deepest essence, mirrors of both chaos and order, and the battle between them is what makes us human. Let's sink together now into a deeper core, a place where we confront the simple yet crushing question, why? Why are we watching a world completely destroyed? Civilization has collapsed, systems have vanished, and what's left are just a few people running, scrambling, clawing for one more day. What's the point? Let me put it plainly. Why do they keep going? And why, honestly, do you keep watching? There's a heavy, absurd question hanging here. Are we all running from a truth we don't want to face? That there is no ultimate meaning? What's the difference between here and there, between existence and extinction, life and death? There's no grand purpose, no divine goal, no higher plan, no written destiny. In the world of The Walking Dead, who's coming to save them? No one. No army, no government, no superhero. Just people, eating, drinking, running, fighting, to squeeze out a few more days. And honestly, in your own life too, at its rawest, stripped down truth, there's nothing. And this is where the absurdity shows up. In Albert Camus' philosophy, the absurd isn't just some dark negativity or hopeless despair. The absurd is the clash between our deep, aching human hunger for meaning and a silent, indifferent, unanswering universe. Simply, you want to know why, and the world gives you no reply. Rick Grimes, at the start of the series, wakes up from a coma in a hospital full of the dead. His wife is gone, his son is missing, and in a single heartbeat, his entire life is flipped upside down. Did this happen because of some cosmic plan preparing him for greatness? Is this the hero's journey? Number, it's just chaos. A world that changed without reason. And from there, his battle begins. Why go on living? Look at the characters, one by one. Morgan, who lost his son, became a man who killed everything in his path, then swung back to nonviolence, then back again to killing. Why? He doesn't know. He's searching for meaning. Carol, who lost her daughter, transformed from a quiet, submissive mother to a deadly fighter, then spent half her life wondering, is what I'm doing right? Or have I just lost myself? Even Negan, the king of cruelty, has moments when he stands before his own reflection and asks, why am I doing this? The show's telling you, no matter how strong you are, how powerful you become, you are ultimately standing face to face with a vast empty void. The zombies aren't the real horror. The horror is the void, the idea that you can wake up one day and everything you knew, everything you built, everyone you loved, gone, without reason, without message. And the world doesn't care, doesn't look back, perhaps doesn't even register your existence. And yet, you must create meaning yourself. Rick doesn't fight because there's a prophecy. He doesn't keep going because there's a vaccine. He keeps going for his son, for his group, for the people he loves. He builds meaning inside the meaninglessness, and when he loses them, he'll build another meaning, as if it's some deep psychological, evolutionary mechanism designed just to keep you moving. This is the absurd struggle. Do you surrender? Do you say, that's it, the world is empty and I am pointless? Or do you say, even though there's no ready-made meaning, I will create my own? And in doing so, I'll enjoy a strange, wild kind of freedom. Focus on the harsh moments. Remember when Rick had to kill friends who'd been with him from day one? Or when Maggie stood frozen, staring at Glenn's shattered body? In those moments, everything screams, give up, stop fighting, spare yourself. And yet, Maggie keeps going. Not because she knows where it'll lead, not because she sees a happy ending, simply because she can't accept that it was all for nothing. Look around the show's world. There's a pattern that repeats again and again. People try to build communities, Alexandria, Hilltop, the kingdom. Why? Why not just surrender to the chaos? Because they cannot live without a small illusion called order. Even if they know it could fall apart at any moment, they need to feel they're standing on something solid. This is one of the great tragedies in The Walking Dead. The moment you realize you're fighting for something deeply fragile, the absurdity isn't just in the events, it's inside us. We connect to these characters because we see ourselves in them. We see our fear, our fragility, our love for the things we know can collapse in a heartbeat. There are moments in the show when a character just sits by a fire, staring into nothing, with no music, no dialogue. These are the moments of absurdity. There are no answers, just silence. Camus says that, standing before the absurd, a human has three choices. 1. Suicide, physical or psychological. Surrender. 2. Blind faith. Create a grand story to convince yourself. 3. The absurd rebellion. Admit there's no meaning and live anyway, even joyfully embracing your freedom. Rick, Maggie, Carol, Daryl, in the end, they all choose rebellion. They know the ending is tragic. They know everything is perishable. And still, they keep going. They laugh. They love. They build. And you too, you chose that. And you cry alongside them not because you believe in some great hopeful finale, but because you see that even in the height of absurdity, there are small moments worth it. A shared laugh between two people, a meal split in the middle of famine, an embrace in the heart of war. The show is telling you, simply, the universe doesn't have to give you meaning. You give it to yourself. Now, ask yourself, honestly, if you woke up tomorrow in a world like The Walking Dead, would you surrender? Or would you create a small meaning of your own? Maybe that meaning would be to protect someone, to love someone, to build something, even knowing it might fall, even knowing the ending is already written. And maybe right here, we discover The Walking Dead's greatest secret. The show isn't really about zombies. It's about you. There's a constant war, not just between humans and zombies, or even between humans themselves. A deeper war, the human being against nature. And in that war, the human always loses. We love to believe we're the masters of the earth. We build cities, invent technology, tame animals, reshape the planet. We live in air-conditioned homes, walk on paved roads, drive fast cars. But all of this is an illusion. The Walking Dead rips that illusion away, violently. It says, look, when nature or God or some higher force decides to shift the balance, civilization collapses, systems fail. Who's in charge now? Not humanity. The show forces you to reflect on your own existence. A fragile animal, running through forests, hiding from strange sounds, fighting for scraps of food. Look closely at the zombies. They're not just monsters. They are nature itself. Blind, random, ruthless. They don't hate you. They don't love you. They have no agenda. They simply exist, like rain, like fire, like earthquakes. They remind us that life was never designed around us. We are the ones trying to mold the world to fit us. And when we fail, we come face to face with our actual size. The true catastrophe of the show isn't the virus. It's what the virus reveals. A truth so ancient we've almost forgotten it. No matter who you are, no matter how far you've come, you are a tiny creature standing against a vast blind universe. In that famous episode, when Rick turns to his group and says, "We are the Walking Dead," he's not just talking about despair. He's telling a bitter truth. We like to believe we're above nature, but in the end, we are part of it, like the trees, the animals, the dirt. And once civilization disappears, there's no difference left. Think about the way the show frames humans against the natural world. There are wild dogs that kill people, storms that tear through shelters, waves of the dead flooding entire cities. There's no hero to save the day, no miracle to stop the collapse. Rick and his group are forced to adapt, to flee, to adjust. They don't defeat the zombies. They simply learn to live alongside them. And that's a brutal philosophical point. You weren't born to conquer nature. You were born to try and survive within it. Picture civilization as a thin crust covering a massive iceberg of chaos. We think that crust is strong, We build skyscrapers, write laws, establish nations. But the moment power goes out, the moment supply lines break, we revert. We go back to the forest. We fight for food again. The Walking Dead tells you clearly, you are not smarter, stronger, or more evolved than nature. You are a temporary guest. And when that guest grows weak, he gets devoured. The show also reminds us that nature does not forgive. You can plant, raise livestock, try to live in peace, but something always comes to knock you down. Zombies, disease, invaders. Why? Because nature was never meant to be comfortable. This isn't a paradise made for us. It's chaos, and you're trying to carve order inside it. Even the communities we see in the show, Alexandria, Hilltop, the Kingdom, they all try to rebuild civilization. But watch closely. Every single one eventually falls. Why? Because nature is stronger. The farmer who saves food gets overwhelmed by a herd. The leader who builds walls is brought down by stronger humans. The dreamer who imagines a perfect society ends up learning the same lesson. There is no permanent safety. The Walking Dead doesn't sugarcoat it. It doesn't pretend. It tells you directly and without mercy, you are weak. And if you forget that, if you convince yourself that you control the world, you'll pay a high price for that pride. There are moments in the show where it strips you bare in front of nature. When Rick finds himself alone in the woods, surrounded by trees that now echo danger. When the group abandons their vehicles and walks through mud. When even the strongest characters collapse before a swarm of the undead from every side. There's no time to romanticize it. The show says, look at your size, you're a dot. A single point in a massive universe. And yet, here comes the strangest part. In the middle of all this, there are moments when the characters laugh, when they fall in love, when they gather around a fire and hold each other. Why? Because human beings, despite their fragility, have this strange, defiant ability to create moments of humanity even in ruin. The beauty of the world lies in those tiny moments, not in overpowering nature, not in winning, just in that quiet, fleeting whisper that says, I'm here, even if nature swallows me tomorrow, even if there's no future, even if the ending is already written, I'm still here, now, alive. The Walking Dead doesn't offer you a hero who defeats nature. It offers you people who keep going within it, despite everything. Every time they stand up after a blow, every time they rebuild after being destroyed, they're not saying, we're stronger. They're saying, we're still here. And we, as viewers, we're drawn to these moments not because they prove humanity is stronger than nature, but because they show that even though we're far weaker, we still resist, minute by minute, day by day, step by step. That's why The Walking Dead isn't a show about the end of the world. It's a show about people who are still trying. And deep down, we all feel that. We live in a world full of disasters, disease, war, environmental collapse. And yet we wake up each morning and carry on. Not because we'll defeat nature, but because we can't do anything else. In the end, the hard truth is this. We are not the kings of the world. We are not nature's masters. We are not above it all. We are, quite simply, the Walking Dead. And now as we arrive at the end of this journey together, if these words have stirred something inside you, if they've for even a moment made you see life through new eyes, know this is far from over. We have so many more stories to tell, deeper messages to uncover, tougher questions to ask, and reflections that will shake you to your core and make you rethink everything. If you're ready for what comes next, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned.